Every decade, it seems, has some location that was the place to be. It was the center of decadence. Think back to the 1890s. It was Paris, Moulin Rouge. 1920s, it was Berlin. Think Cabaret, the Weimar Republic. In the 1950s, it was Hollywood. It's the silver screen. In the 1990s, it was Moscow, Russia. And I was there. I've been collecting my stories of my time in Russia, working to get them published as a book. They're vignettes of my life, the people I encountered, and stories about the many strange experiences I had. And I hope you enjoy them. If you press like and subscribe, leave a comment in the comments section, and after I receive 50 comments or 500 views, I'll randomly select a few of the people that left comments to receive some Soviet and modern Russian swag I collected during my time there. And maybe, hey, it'll encourage me to record yet another story. This story is titled Ida's Apartment and the Piano, or Cultural Literacy Really Does Have Boundaries and Limits. Through my friend Irina K., I met a woman named Ida. Ida was from a very well-to-do and important Russian and Soviet family. She was a widow, lived alone, but she was not melancholy. She had her circle of friends, and I was lucky to have crossed her paths many, many times. Like most well-to-do Russians, Ida had both a 4-room apartment in the center of Moscow, a prestigious location for anyone in the country, and a country home, also known as a dacha. Her Moscow apartment was considered very large by any standard. Because of her family and connections, she had an amazing collection of Russian art and antiques. The collection was worthy of a museum. The items were paintings and sculptures collected by her and her late husband and other relatives that over the decades she inherited. It included some of the most important Russian artists of the 19th and 20th century. Ida also saved her kopecks, about $50,000 worth. This was her life savings, and considering she had no house payments, she could comfortably live off this savings for the rest of her life. In early 1994, she hit a major roadblock, though. The bank that was holding all of her money collapsed, and instantly, her life savings was gone, and there was absolutely no recourse or way to recapture that money. Ida was flat broke and, too old to work. Our mutual friend came up with a great idea. Ida should rent out her apartment with a lifetime of memories and move to her dacha full-time outside of Moscow. It was not an ideal situation, as the country home was not close to the city, but by at least renting out her apartment in the center of Moscow, it would give her, back then, $1,500, $2,000 a month in income, which would give Ida a much more comfortable life and help her rebuild her savings. A suitable tenant was found, an American engineer who spent a lot of time in Russia for his work. The apartment would come furnished and ready for the American to just bring his suitcase and move in. Ida took her entire collection of priceless Russian art and antiques and moved into one room of her apartment. The room was stacked floor to ceiling with valuable items that Sotheby's and Christie's would fight over to sell. It was stored, and a giant lock was put on that door. The tenant would never know what was in the room, and the rest of the apartment looked empty but extremely tasteful. No clutter at all. It came time for the American to see his new quarters. He came into the apartment, looked around, and thought everything was fine. It was a beautiful space, lots of light, beautiful antique furniture, and a comfortable bed. Well, it was all good except for one thing. The American didn't like the concert-sized grand piano that was in the living room. The piano was, 8 feet long. I had told the American there's nowhere to put the piano. The piano had to stay. Can you at least move the piano to your country home or the storage room? Somewhere. Sell it. Get rid of it. Put it in the street. There's no space in the storage room. I can't take it to my country home. There's no space there. The piano has to stay here. It's not going anywhere. The American was insistent. The piano had to go or he's not going to live there. I can't live in a room. I can't live here with this piano. I don't play piano, and I don't know what to do with it. It's just a piece of furniture in the way to the American. Ida finally said the piano belonged to her late husband's uncle, and there's no way to part with the piano. It has to stay where it is. The American was insistent. The piano had to go, or he could not live there. Ida finally said that the piano belonged to her late husband's uncle, and there was no way to part with it. It had to stay where it is. But the arguing continued, and finally Ida yelled, "This is Rachmaninoff's piano! He was my husband's uncle! Rachmaninoff's piano! It has to stay!" The American engineer looked at her. "Who's Rachmaninoff?" I hope you enjoy this story. Leave comments at the end, and after I get about 50 comments, after maybe 500 views, I'm going to randomly pick some of the people who left comments and send you some. I'll contact you and send you some Russian and Soviet swag I collected during my time there. Thank you for watching, and I'll keep the stories coming. You stay safe and have a great day.